My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast, where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I have a powerhouse show packed for you today. This gentleman, his mantra, "Stop looking for heroes and be one," has been very inspirational. You know, I wonder what he's talking about when he says that. You know, as I listen to some of his shows and his background, you know, he's been through a whole lot going on in his life, and understanding things from his parents to sobriety and things like that, and even to the point of where when you talk about being a hero, you know, this gentleman actually walks on fire, right? You know, so, you know, we'll get into some of those things that, you know, and hopefully we can get into how that can change someone's life. Is one of his topics, is changing someone's life in 4 seconds. So maybe this could change your life within the next 20 minutes. We can make a difference in your life. But, you know, I bring none other, this gentleman I bring to you is none other than Dave Albin. Dave, thank you very much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Maurice. Good morning.
Good morning. So as you heard, you know, I like that topic. Stop looking for heroes and be one. What, you know, how did you come up with that? What influenced you to come up with that mantra? Let's talk about it.
Well, you know, it kind of evolved over the years, actually. I noticed over the years of being in the personal development industry for almost 3 decades and being around literally hundreds of thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs and major influences, if you will, in the personal development industry, that people are always want a tendency to look outside of themselves for something. You know, so I've kind of learned over the years to work from the inside out instead of from the outside in. And that really has worked for me. Now, that's also, Maurice, been a combination of being in Alcoholics Anonymous for a little over 35 years. And I learned early on there that if you want to keep it, you got to give it away. So one of the creeds that I took when I first got sober on June 8th of 1988 is that it says in the writings, when anyone anywhere reaches out, I want the hand of AA to be there. And for that, I am responsible. And so, again, the development of the whole idea of stop looking for heroes and be one. I believe the 2 most important times in anyone's life is the moment they were born and the moment they figure out why. So from that perspective, right, you want to be a hero, be one, because that's what you're destined to be. And so, you know, to step out of your comfort zone, because everything you've ever wanted is right over there on the other side of fear. And once you start to do that and develop that muscle really, of looking outside of yourself instead of just constantly being bombarded by media influence.
Mm-hmm.
And really, again, I think, again, it came back from AA, right? Because the bottom line is that when somebody walks through that door, their life's on the line.
Right.
This isn't the Qantas Club. This isn't the Chamber of Commerce, right? This is Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're in the business of saving people's lives. So that's really where it came from.
So talking about fear just a little bit, a lot of us deal with that consistently, just the way the world is currently. What are some steps or some tips or tricks that you, maybe one or two, to help someone get over that hump of fear, whatever they're trying to accomplish?
Well, couple things. One comes to mind is, I say all the time, life's not as bad as it seems. Life's not as good as it seems. Reality's probably somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is, this too shall pass, right? Things going bad, things all messed up.
Right.
Things aren't going the way you wanted to. Well, guess what? This too shall pass. Things going great. Think you're on top of the world.
Right.
You got it by the what? Yeah. Well, guess what? This too shall pass. Right. And so, from the standpoint of fear, right? So, what does fear mean? What label do you want to give it? You can choose.
Right.
Does it mean do you forget everything and run? Or do you want to use face everything and rise?
Wow.
We decide, right?
Right.
I like what we say in AA, false images appearing real. So how do you deal with it? How do you interrupt it? Well, here's what I've learned from some of the top motivational sages in the world. Fear is a pattern. Typically, everything we do in our life, there's a pattern to it. If we overeat, it's a pattern. If we take care of ourselves, that's a pattern.
Right.
If we do things that don't support ourselves, it's a pattern. We run a pattern. So once you understand patterns and you understand how you can interrupt them and install new patterns and new belief systems, that is one of the most powerful places you can get yourself to. So the bottom line is, from a fear standpoint, typically when people are fearful, what are they not doing? What's the pattern they're running? They're not breathing. Right.
Wow,
so they're holding their breath. Like, something happens, like if you're at a movie, right, and something scary happens on the screen, what do people do? They scream. They're like,
right.
And they put their hand over their mouth and they cut off their breathing.
Right.
So one of the things I do with firewalking is I do this quite a bit with kids, because I've walked kids as young as 5 years old.
Okay.
My daughter was actually 6. My son was 9, to give you an example. Right? Yeah. Some people would call that child abuse. But I teach them to breathe.
Okay.
So I just have them take 3 cleansing breaths. I have them take a really nice deep breath in, fill their lungs, including the lower part, the diaphragm, and I have them hold it and let that oxygen infiltrate the body. Okay. And then I have them do it again. And then on the third breath, I'll literally tell the kid or the adult, when you exhale on from this third breath, I'm going to count backwards. 3, 2, 1. And I learned that particular skill set from Mel Robbins. I think she does 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right?
Okay.
Like I tell people all the time, stop negotiating with yourself. Right? Like if you need to get out of bed in the morning to go do your workout or whatever, start your day, get up.
Right.
And if you're struggling with it, if you want to hit that snooze button or you want to negotiate, recognize that for what that is. It's a pattern.
Right.
Interrupt it. How do you interrupt it? Count backwards. You wake up in the morning, you go, okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, get up. And then go about your routine, go about your day. I get asked about this all the time, right? And I love how you framed it, though, because it takes on a different dynamic. And then again, you want to change your life, understand your patterns, recognize the ones that don't support you, and then interrupt them and install new support pattern mechanisms and watch your life change.
So again, staying with fear. And you touched on it real quick about the firewalking piece. Yeah. I will have fear immediately just looking at there. So and you touched on it talking about the deep breaths and counting backwards and things like that.
Yep.
What even encouraged you to even do it your very first time?
Geez. Oh, well, that's, okay. Well, all right. Well, since you asked, what happened is that right after I got sober, I had insomnia. And so I was up late at night all the time. My sleep patterns were all over the place. And so one night up in, late at 3:00 in the morning in 1988, I'm probably just a couple of months sober. There he is, the man himself, running his infomercial through Gunthy Ranker, Tony Robbins.
Okay.
Here's a young Tony Robbins, and he's selling personal power. Personal power, 30-day program for total success. And when I bought it, when they sent it to me, it came on these little white things called cassette tapes.
I remember
right?
cassette tapes.
A lot of your listeners may not even know what cassette tapes are.
I know, right?
Right. So anyway, I went through the program and it worked. And a few years later, 7 years later to be exact, a buddy called me and told me that Tony was coming into town and would I go with him? And I said, sure. And so he made the arrangements. Well, when he called me back to tell me that it was all done, just before he hung up, he said, oh, by the way, we're going to be doing a firewalk. And I didn't say anything to Dan, but I'm thinking in my head, right? Oh, hell no. No.
I know, right?
That's for the crazy people. We don't have to do that, right? But I didn't say anything. I just said, yeah, Dan, sure, no problems. We'll do a firewalk. Well, when you get to a Tony Robbins seminar, he takes a stage at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And the next thing I know, Maurice, it's after midnight. 10 hours. 10 hours in a room with Tony Robbins. And what's he do? All day long, he just prepares you for the firewalk. Well, I'm not going to do it. And all of a sudden at the end, after midnight, all of a sudden Tony goes, take your shoes off. Right? And I'm like, oh, no, pal. You're not tricking me. I don't think so, right?
Right.
Well, I'm in a room with 3,500 people. And guess what they're doing? They're taking their shoes off. And I'm like, you guys, no, it's a trick. Don't fall for it. Right? So now I got a dilemma. Do I take my shoes off or not? Because if I don't, everybody's going to know I'm a coward. What am I going to do? Everybody else takes their shoes off and I'm going to walk out there with my shoes on? Nah, I don't want to do that. So I'll take them off and I'll fake it. I'll go hide in the back. No, nobody's going to know, right?
Right.
So, it gets worse. So as he's got you going out there, he starts you chanting.
Okay.
Right. So everybody's clapping and going, yes, yes, yes. And they're clapping their hands and chanting. I'm thinking, oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Right.
Knock it off, please. Right. So then you get outside, it gets worse.
Okay. That's
right?
funny.
Because there's African drummers.
Okay.
So now everybody's chanting, yes, clapping their hands. And then it's the drummers. Dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
dun.
right.
And so the ambiance is unbelievable. It's crazy. It's insane. There's nothing like it. I've never came anywhere close to anything like this.
Okay.
Other than a Tony Robbins seminar. Well, over in the corner, there's this giant fire. It is huge. It's probably 30 feet wide, 70 feet long. And it's been burning all day.
Okay.
So they just add wood to it all day long. Well, eventually, after hours and hours of burning, it renders. And there's this big, giant pile of the most beautiful coals you've ever seen in your life. Well, what they did to accommodate 3,500 people was they would take a wheelbarrow and they'd fill the coals into that wheelbarrow. Okay. And then they would bring the wheelbarrow in between 2 lanes of sod, of grass. And that's a fire lane, which is about 3 feet wide, 18 feet long.
Okay.
And what they did, they just took a flathead shovel and they would sprinkle the coals on top of that grass.
Okay.
That's what you walked on.
Okay.
Well, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Right. So I'm hiding in the back. Well, here's what's interesting. Tony knows this can literally be one of the most profound paradigm shift experiences of your life. Life changing. He knew. He knew when he brought firewalking, to the West, that this would literally be one of the most life-changing experiences anybody would ever go through.
Right.
So he wants to get you through it. He doesn't want you to miss it.
Right.
And so he knows people are going to hide in the back. He knows there's Dave Albins out there, right?
Right.
So what's he do? He trains people to come find you.
Okay.
So there I am, all the way at the back, 100 yards away from where they're actually doing it, hiding out. And here comes this guy.
Okay.
And he comes out of nowhere. And Tony, and he made eye contact with me, right? And Tony must teach them, look, once you make eye contact, don't take your eyes off.
Right.
Because he won't. He's coming right at me. He probably gets, I don't know, maybe 20 feet from me. And all of a sudden he stops and he kind of bends over and looks at me really funny, as if to say, and he's like, are you okay? And when we're not okay, what do we say? Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm good.
right,
All good
right.
here, man. Nothing to worry about.
We
Just
try
move
to
along,
sell it.
pal. Move along.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he says, "Well, are you going to walk tonight?" And I aggressively kind of growled at him. I was like, "Absolutely not." And he goes, "Hey, man," he goes, "that's cool. No worries. We don't
Okay.
want you to do anything you don't want to do."
Mm,
And I went, "Oh, okay. I like this guy. He's going to get me out of here."
right,
Well, this guy's a stranger, Maurice. I don't know who this guy is to this day.
right.
And without him, I'm not here on your podcast.
Wow.
This will never work. That will never work, right?
Wow.
Well, this worked. Right? Because here's a stranger, never met the guy in my life, don't
Right.
know who it is to this day, completely changed my life and helped me change the life of hundreds of thousands of people. And the question he asked me was, wouldn't you at least like to watch? And I remember thinking, yeah, sure. I'd love to watch these idiots burn their feet off. That should be entertaining. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm miles away. I can't really see anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, he says to me, he says, "Well, listen, you can't see anything from back here." He said, "Just get in line, and eventually you'll get up there, and you'll literally be able to see it."
Mm-hmm.
And in his defense, he's telling the truth, right?
Right.
Well, I did. I got in line. And I'm kind of walking along. And by the way, remember, it's tense. You got the drums going, the big fire going. People are chanting. People are starting to walk. They're screaming. They're yelling. Exhilaration, like they had just conquered the world every time they walked, right? 3,500 people. And I'm walking along. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up to me. And he said, "He knows when you're ready. When he says go, you go." And pew, he just disappeared into the night.
Wow.
And I'm like, who was that?
Right.
Remember, it's after midnight at this point, right?
Right.
This guy just disappeared. And all of a sudden I'm walking along. And, again, I got a sea of people. I got thousands of people in front of me. I can't see anything.
Right.
I can hear them screaming and yelling. I can hear them chanting. I can hear the drums. I can see the big fire glowing over there. But all of a sudden I get to a point where I can see it at an angle. And Maurice, they're doing it. Every race, every creed, every color, every age had nothing to do with it other than all these humans were firewalking and changing their lives.
Wow.
And so now I'm mesmerized.
Okay.
But I'm staring at it. I can't take my eyes off it. It's like driving by an accident. You say, I'm not going to look, and you stare at the thing the whole time you drive by, right?
Right.
Well, all of a sudden I'm walking along, and boom, guess where I am? I'm at the front of the line. And I'm looking down at the fire lane, right? And the coals are, they've laid the coals on there, and they're bright red.
Right.
And the wheelbarrow's there. You can feel the heat coming off. And I'm staring into the abyss. I am scared out of my mind. My heart is ready to jump out of my chest. I am freaking out. Right? And there's a trainer standing there. And all of a sudden he goes, "Eyes up." And I'm like, "Oh, that's right. I was in a room with Tony for 10 hours. He taught me to keep my eyes up. Okay, I'm a slow learner, apparently." So now my eyes are up, right? And all of a sudden, as squeeze your fist and say yes. And I went, "Yes." And he went, "Stronger." And I went, "Yes." Well, he could tell I was leaving a lot on the table. I was not in a peak. I was in a peak state. Yeah. "Stronger." Well, then I threw my hands in the air and I screamed, "Oh my Lord, yes." And all of a sudden he goes, "Go, go, go." Pew. I took off. Well, here's the first thing I learned about firewalking. When you take the first step, you'll take the second, third, fourth, and fifth, right? You don't stop in the middle of the fire lane. Well, he positions two guys at the end and they lock arms, right? And they stop you. And they're like, "Stop, wipe your feet and celebrate." So I'm kind of wiping my feet and celebrating. I go, "Oh my gosh, I've burnt my feet really bad. Oh, geez." And I lift up my right foot to look at it, and it's dirty, but there's no burns. Oh, it's my other foot. I look at it, it's really dirty, but there's no burns. None. So I had just walked across coals 1,000 degrees, and I have no idea how I did it. Ever done that? Done something really cool, really awesome, but you don't know how you did it.
Most definitely.
Right? And you're just like, "That was me, man.
Right.
I did that." Well, so now I'm standing in the celebration end with 3,500 people we're all experiencing the same thing. It was exhilarating. We all felt like we could take on the world. We could climb Mount Everest, right? It's insane how empowering it is. And because it levels you up, right? Your
Right,
self-confidence, your self-belief, and your self-worth are raised. So your vibration, you all come up together as a group collectively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The next day. So this is a 4-day event, right?
Okay.
And this was day one, the night of day one. So now it's day two.
Okay.
And we're standing in the foyer. And there's 3,500 people getting ready to go into the venue. And I, to this day, I've never seen or witnessed anything like it in my life. People were getting along humanistically like you would not believe. Nobody cared about masks or vaccines or political BS.
Right.
They were getting along like humans because we all experienced something the night
together.
before that is beyond life-changing.
Right.
So people, they were laughing, Maurice. They were hugging. They were talking. They were communicating. They were talking about the firewalk. They were, it was just such a beautiful thing, not only to watch and witness, but to be part of.
Right.
And to this day, I've never seen or witnessed anything like it other than another Tony Robbins seminar.
Wow.
Well, what happened from there is I got to know one of Tony's trainers. Named Ted Macy. And so we're talking. I said, man, this must be really awesome to be in this environment on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, dude, there's nothing like it in the world. And he says, as a matter of fact, you see all these people over here with the black shirts and the pink writing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, those are volunteers. And you can become one. So when you get home, call Robbins Research in San Diego and ask for an application. They'll send you one to become a volunteer crew member. And if you're lucky, you'll get chosen. Well, I did that immediately. And sure enough, a month later, I get a letter in the mail and it says, Dave Albin, congratulations. You've been selected to crew with the Anthony Robbins Company. So I'm like, sweet.
Wow.
How cool is this going to be?
Wow.
And so it's like a 5-page application.
Okay.
Well, I had, military background, security background. I was living on a farm. I knew how to use equipment. I knew how to use tools. I knew how to use a log splitter. And so they put me on the fire team, the fire building team. Because there's typically 300 people at every event as a volunteer. Okay. Well, 60 to 70 of them are all outside building that fire for thousands of people, right? Okay. A lot of physical work. Well, they also put me on the security detail. Because I had the military background and the security background to help take care of Tony's celebrities.
Right.
Well, that was in 1995. In 1996, I became a subcontractor. And then as I kind of went along in my security role and working on the fire team, the next thing you know, they offered me the assistant captain position.
Wow.
Because as a volunteer, you got to pay your own way, right? You got to pay for your airfare and your hotel and food and all that.
Right.
Well, as a subcontractor, they paid my airfare, paid my hotel, paid me a per diem, and paid me a small salary.
Okay.
Well, that all went through the 90s. Well, in 2003, we're in the Bahamas at Date with Destiny at the Atlantis Hotel. And the next thing I know, I'm being offered the captain's position, which meant that I would take over all of Tony's firewalks globally. Interestingly enough, the same fear that I had during the went through when I was being offered this position, because I knew the responsibility and what that was going to be like. Right. So it's fear, right? And I just took a couple of deep breaths, as I've talked about earlier, and boom, I'm in it. In fact, I did turn down the position originally because I homeschooled my kids.
Okay.
And so Tony ended up, offering to pay for my family to travel with us. Wow. And he said, will that make a difference? And can you imagine? Because I homeschooled my kids. So he ended up paying for my family to travel with them.
Nice opportunity.
Which I could talk to you for hours and hours about that alone. Well, so that was in 2003. And so now I'm in charge of all the firewalks.
Right.
2005, we went to London, set a world record. And I want to disclose up front, Guinness Book was not there. However, we firewalked 12,300 people.
Wow.
To my knowledge, there's nowhere in the world that anywhere has ever come close to that other than another Tony Robbins seminar of 10,000 or 9,000 or 8,000 people. So that was a beautiful thing. And then kind of to fast forward, in 2014, I'm driving down the road, my phone rings, and it's this company called Google.
Right.
And they want to know if I'm the Dave Albin that does the firewalks for Tony Robbins. I'm like, yeah, how did you find me? Did you Google me?
Right.
Right. So the next thing I know, we're negotiating a deal with them. We ended up doing, they wanted to do a firewalk. They had 148 executives graduating in Mountain View at corporate headquarters.
Okay.
And I said, well, we can't do the firewalk during the day, but because for safety reasons, because I need to see the color of the coals and the brightness and the red and such. I said, however, we could do a glass walk. And they're like, ooh, what's that? Tell us about that. And so we ended up doing a glass walk. I ended up doing a couple of them.
Okay.
And you know what, Maurice? The next thing I know, I'm at NASA, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Remax, Heineken, Microsoft, the EO organization. You know, the next thing you know, I'm on That Will Never Work podcast.
I know,
with
right?
Maurice.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
So one of the things that I'm listening to, as I stated earlier, you have a lot of 4-second moments. 4 seconds when someone is just eyeballing you. 4 seconds when someone is offering you a job. People taking these 4 seconds of life-changing experiences, if you will, and decision making. So in those moments, again, fear can come up, right? Because I'm listening to you, not especially since you don't know where these decisions are going to take you. Because you taking on this firewalking piece, now all of a sudden you're in London, as you stated, breaking records, things like that. When people hear that type of stuff, they feel intimidated. Because I know, when you think of about 12,000 people, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It was pretty spooky. Absolutely.
And even when you and even some of the arenas that you have been in or places, being at Notre Dame, things like that. I listen to other life coaches and how they explain they're intimidated, which turns into fear, of these moments. And I thank you for sharing those 4 seconds moments where you did not. You didn't come off as if you were fear. You might be a little apprehensive, but
100%.
you didn't allow fear to overcome you. And I thank you for sharing those moments with us today.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I do. I really do. So again, thank you for coming on. Lovely story. I want everyone to continue to listen to his stories, or they're just amazing. You have to listen to other podcasts he's on, TV, YouTube channel, everything else. But Dave, share where people can find those stories that you have.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. And thanks again, Maurice. It's been an honor to come here and be on your show. You do a great job. You're an amazing host, and that always creates a great guest. Because without a good host, the guest kind of, they can flounder.
Right.
So how did people find me? Well, the easiest way is to go to our website, which is firewalkadventures.com. That's all one word, firewalkadventures.com.
Right.
Now, when you get there, there's a ton of information. We talk about the firewalking, glass walking, board breaks, aero brakes, rebar bend, all of it there. There's also something that's very interesting that I started recently that I'll do something really special for your listeners. Might someone want to consider it? And that is, I have what's called the Dave Albin Firewalk Academy.
Mm-hmm.
So clients have options, right? They can come to me and say, Dave, here's the deal. I know who you are. I know what you do. You change people's lives. That's what my company needs right now.
Right.
So I'll write you a check and you bring in your team and you take care of everything. Mm-hmm. Great. That's our specialty. We can do that, very, very easily. All we have to do is specifically design the firewalk around you, your company, your mission statement, your vision, your new product, whatever it is. And so we sit down with the CEO or, the entrepreneur, and we hammer all that out. And again, my team takes care of everything. Now, what we've done now, though, is we've created the Dave Albin Firewalk Academy.
Okay.
Right. So now a company can send somebody from their HR department, an entrepreneur can send somebody, one of their staff members, trainers, coaches, whoever can come to my academy, and I'll teach them all of this stuff.
Okay.
I'll teach them how to facilitate the firewalk, the glass walks, the board breaks, brick breaks, aero breaks, rebar bending, all of those experiences, and the power of storytelling, and really just how to be a corporate team building extraordinaire. They can come to the academy. Now, the academy is coming up in October. It's the 3rd through the 7th. We only bring in 9 students at a time. There's a very specific reason for that, and they learn about that once they get to the academy. So what I'm going to do for all your listeners, Maurice, is that if anybody wants to come to the academy and they, have listened to your podcast, they'll use a code. And the code is, hold on here, 6828. That's 6828. Give me that code. You can create a discovery call, and I'll get on the phone with you personally, and we'll discuss whether this is a good fit for you. And I'm going to tell you straight up, if it's not a good fit, I'm going to tell you that, right? Because I don't want somebody to come to the academy that's not going to work together with me, collaborate with me, and I need them. For us to be able to outreach here with the Firewalk experience, I need people that are really going to get this and go out into the community and change people's lives by facilitating with me.
Cool. Thank you very much for that code. All the information will be in the description for the podcast show today. Is there anything else you would like to share at this time?
Yeah. The final thing, stop looking for heroes and be one.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Cool. I appreciate that. So, Dave, thank you very much for coming on today. Now, I do have one question I ask everyone that comes on.
Yes, sir.
It's my would you rather question. And the would you rather would be, the question is, would you rather have a fork in the road, choose between a fork in the road or 3 doors? What would your choice be?
Fork in the road.
Why the fork in the road?
Well, because normally one's right and one's wrong.
That's the most simple answer I've heard.
Right. Or, there's a couple of ways to learn something, right? You can either learn from the mistakes of others, or you can learn from your mistakes. So success leaves clues.
No, I like that. I'm going to write that one down.
Absolutely,
I like that one. Cool, Dave. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Again, everyone listen to his stories on his Facebook, on his websites, and any other information I share on the description for this podcast. Thank y'all very much for listening, and tune in for the next show.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at Chisholm Group LLC and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work, or will it?
Recording stopped.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.